All right. I think we've got 9 attendees. I think that's pretty close to what we had on our list. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So I don't know. A lot of you probably have already met me. I'm Terry Younger here at Simplesoft, and what we're going to do is go through a fairly quick webinar on groups and dashboards, and then a quick run through of the 9.1, just some 9.1 updates, what's new, that type of thing. So that's our agenda, fairly short and sweet, which we like that. Give you some information, and then open the floor for some questions afterwards. So that's our plan. It's going to be a pretty relaxed webinar, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll have discussions afterwards also. But basically, what we're looking at here is the Infor CRM 9.1. And this environment has a lot of great new features around the groups and dashboards, and it's going to allow us to work with the data more easier because of some of the features that they've added to 9.1. A little more user friendly as far as tools, filters, features for some gathering data in your groups under your conditions. So we'll be touching on a lot of those new items. So first thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to go through the types of groups that are available in the CRM. And I'm going to start my information at the contact level. And at the contact level, what we're talking about is the different kind of groups. So you have the ad hoc group, which is a group that a user creates for either a single use or short-term use that doesn't change over time. So new records are added to the CRM. They are not added to the group automatically. A user has to add the items. I'll show you what that means. So I'm going to create a group. I'm going to actually use my filters over here on the right-hand side, and I'm looking for a specific city in this case. So now I have a short list of contacts um, in the Cincinnati city area, right? So I want to create an ad hoc group. I'm going to be sending out a mailing to this group, or we're going to get together and uh, do something or send them some specific information, but I only want to work with this small set of contacts. So to create an ad hoc group, you can make a selection from any list. You can, I can do just a select set of contacts, or I can do the whole group. And what I want to do is create the ad hoc group. So with my items either selected or none selected, it'll take the entire group. Over here on the right-hand side, you'll see Save Records as a group. If I click that link, it's going to give me a pop-up that says it's going to take everything because I have nothing selected. And I'm going to say yes. I'm going to name this group. So the name on the group is called, we've got these pre-planned here, Browns Are Scary Campaign, Cincinnati. Oh, I guess we won't do that. We're going to do Q5.
Oh,
So
no,
I can create a group here that is Q5, and go to my group. Here's the group that I just created over here on the right-hand side up here in the blue bar. Q5 Browns Are Scary Campaign. So here's the list of people that I added. Okay. So let's say I have, I want to add somebody else to this group. I'm going to actually go back to a listing of contacts, and I'm going to say I want to add somebody that's not in Cincinnati. So there's cases where in an ad hoc group you want to add from that list view that I created with the filter, but I can also add from any other group list as far as contacts go. And all I have to do is right click on that and say add to existing group. And there's my Q5 group I just created. So I can add this Chicago to that Q5. So that's the clue with an ad hoc group is a human adds records into the group and a human removes records from the group. So I'm going to go into my group and you'll see that Chicago record is now in there. Now, if I want to remove a record from my group, all I have to do is right click on the record or select multiples, right? So I can actually select multiples here if I wanted to do that. But if I just want to take that one that I just added, I can right click on it and see remove from group. So an ad hoc group is the only one where a user controls what's in the group. Limited use as far as it's static, so it never changes. But the difference is if I go in and actually up here on my blue bar, if I right click and click the edit button, I'll show you where you can actually see the difference in the group query editor. You'll notice in this middle blue bar, properties, layout, sorting, and defaults. If you open any other group that has a conditions tab in between properties and layout, that's called a dynamic group. So that will allow you to condition the group you're currently in rather than a static group. A dynamic group with the conditions tab will change as the system changes. So somebody adds a new account in the city of Cincinnati, it will automatically be added to my group. That's dynamic. The ad hoc will never change unless I change it. So that's the difference between the two. So it's this is good for if I wanted to send a meeting out to this group. We're doing a webinar on the Bengals or the Browns. Sorry, this is the Browns one. So we're doing a webinar on how we can beat the Browns. So I want to follow up with them because we're getting close to the game time. So I want to follow up with them. I can see exactly who I've talked to in the past on this subject matter and send them a follow up. Once we've completed and we've beat the Browns, then we no longer need this group. You want to clean them up because an ad hoc group runs with the IDs within the group, so it takes a little bit more I call it power from the database. So it's better to keep your ad hocs cleaned up because you can always recreate them, but you want to not carry them around too long just because they can be a little bit more intensive on your database. This short one isn't going to, but if you get a bigger group, it can have a little bit of a hit on resources with a higher number of groups, right? So that's an ad hoc. Now, if I wanted to show you how to do the dynamic groups, I'm going to go back over to the all contacts group. And you can copy groups. I can copy an ad hoc group. I can copy a dynamic group, but I'm going to copy this all contacts group and I'm going to change it to the name of Browns, Beat the Bengals camp. Sorry, Beat the Bengals camp, and then Cleveland. So this is going to be a Cleveland group. Now you'll notice in this blue bar, there's a conditions tab. Now on the conditions tab, it's like using the filters, only it's permanent. And I can filter against, or I can condition on any of the connected tables here that you see along the contact line. And one of the things with the CRM is the connections with all the data. That's one of the biggest questions is where's my data? So one of the best ways I can describe it is that the CRM is like a spider web and the account sits in the middle. So all the information, opportunities, accounts, sales orders, notes and history, all interconnected to and circles around that account. It's So if you think of it like a spider web, there's connecting lines. That's exactly how the CRM works. So from the account level, from the contact level, I can spread out and pull in information from those other entities or tables that are in the environment. And that's what you see over here on the left-hand side, upper left. These are the tables. If I click on a table, I'll see over here on the right side the fields for that table, and I can choose any of those fields. For our testing today, I'm going to go to the address table, and I'm going to use city because I'm looking for just Cleveland. So you'll see city over here in my right-hand side where my fields are. I double click it, and I can go through and pull in the city that I want. Now you'll notice this is an equal to. So where I'm saying it's equal to Cleveland, there's also a browse button. That browse button will give you data from the system. So all the records, all the city records that are in the system will show up, and you can select it, and it'll display the information in the value field there. Um, the thing is with that is it helps tremendously because spelling, um, it, case doesn't matter, but the spelling does, right? So if I have spaces, if I one of the human things we do is we hit the space bar when we're typing. We don't even realize we're doing it. It's never going to find this city, right? So the browse eliminates that. You can click browse and it's going to give a listing of all the cities. You can select the one that you want and it'll add it, and you got the correct spelling, no leading or trailing spaces. So it's very convenient for that. But I'm just going to say okay. So what we're saying is give me all the contacts where their city is equal to Cleveland. Okay. So I'm going to say okay, and I'm going to get the results. So you'll see I have 3 Cleveland contacts, and some of the areas that you can work with over on the right-hand side with either one of the groups, ad hoc or dynamic. If you look over to the right-hand side in the middle, you'll see a common task area. The common task area allows you to do, the ad hoc that we've done over here on the right-hand side, save records to a group or add to an existing. You can you can export the information. So the data is in the CRM. You can bring it out into Excel and work with it any way you want to. And that's just clicking the export button, and it'll bring in the information. Since I have no records selected, it will give me this no records are selected. It's going to give me the whole group. I'll just say yes. Then it's going to ask me how I want it to be delivered to me. I recommend the tab delimited because that manages, if you have any commas in your data, this will manage that and keep everything in its correct field or column when you open the Excel spreadsheet. So I'm just going to say okay here, and it'll actually deliver me an Excel spreadsheet that I can click on and open. And I didn't test this before we started this, but I'll open it and it'll have the information around as you see it here in columns. So it'll look just like what you see, three, three rows and all these columns on the Excel spreadsheet. Looks like our job manager isn't running on our demo site. So that's export to Excel. You also will see down here at the bottom of that common area a show on map. If I click this show on map, it's going to take these 3 records, or if I select just certain records, and it's going to show it on a mapping where I can actually get some um, directions. So you'll see I've got 3 records, and I can check them on or off. So you'll notice number 1 is up here in the top right-hand corner of the map. And if I uncheck it, it actually will take it off the map. But then I can always bring it back in, right? And then I can say get directions. It doesn't have a function to send it to your phone at this point, but I can still get directions, and it's going to map the most logical path. And if I happen to be in a hotel somewhere in the area, I can add. You'll see an add place button here. I can add that hotel, and it's going to show me mapping to get to all three locations. So this is called contour, or it's a proximity search that allows you to find by location accounts, contacts that are close to a certain place, your office, your home, a place you've traveled to, or just create a group of give me all the Cleveland accounts like we did with the group. I can actually do it with that contour. If you look up at the very top toolbar, you'll see a tools icon up here at the toolbar, or icon menu item. If I click on tools, I'll also see contour distance search. So I went from a group to the contour search mapping, but I can also go from the main view of the contour and do a little bit more detail on my search, certain account types, but it's a whole search page where I can get to similar information, but I have a little bit more control. So that's available as a main view up here from the tools toolbar. Some of the other things you can do here in any group list, not just the contact, but accounts, opportunities, you have the ability to do what's called a bulk update. And if you look over here on the common task, you'll see update as a hyperlink. If I click the update, it's going to work against the data that I have showing, or the group I have showing. You can take a whole group and filter it, and that update will actually work against the filtered list, not the whole group. One word of caution here is never use a lookup to do a bulk change or do a bulk update. You always want to use a group or a filtered group that you've created. But when I click on that update over here on the right-hand side, if I click on update, it's going to do the whole group again, same type of message. But each level, accounts, contacts, opportunities, have a different list that you will be offered to make changes to. This is configurable, so you can add to this list if you have custom fields. But what this allows you to do is take a bulk change, statuses, divisions, account manager, that type of thing that you want to make a whole change all at once. So you don't have to do it record by record. So I'm actually going to open up the status, because all these three, I'm going to change them to inactive. Okay. So I don't have status in my group, but I'll change them all to inactive. So it's going to change all three of those records to inactive, and then I'm done, right? Which my job manager isn't running, so it may not complete. So that's some of the tools that you have over here on the right-hand side. Now I'm going to go up to the accounts. So over here on the left navigation, I'm going to click on accounts. And there is a group called customers. This is a condition group where the account type is equal to customer. I'm actually going to copy this. And I'm going to call this Customers Ohio. So what we're going to look at here is how to work with the conditions a little bit deeper and adding additional conditions. So on the conditions tab, you can add multiple conditions, and they all will filter your group results based on whether you want them or not. So I'm going to actually add, my group is about Ohio. So I'm going to add a condition here where from the address table. So up here in the top left, I'm going to click on the address table. And then in my address fields, I'm looking for state. So there's state. So I double click it. And I'm going to say where it's equal to Ohio. So here I'm going to show you the browse button. So if I click on browse, here's all the states that are currently in the environment, right? This is also great for data cleanup. Not so much this field, but the filters on the right-hand side. States and countries are some of the common areas where Users will put the wrong data in a field. I've seen Ohio even spelled incorrectly. So they'll spell it out OHOI or something along those lines. So you can actually use the data in the system for just data maintenance. But I'm just going to say, okay, so now I'm looking where the state is equal to Ohio. Say okay, and I'm going to say okay again. Oh, get a 2. So I have my group I just created where I'm coming from the state of Ohio. I have a total of 7 records. And now that I've created my group, I may want to share it out to other users. So right now, I'm the owner of the group. The owner of the group can edit, delete, and share a group. Um, if I share the group, other users will be able to see it, but they won't be able to edit it or delete it or share it out themselves. So the owner is the only one that can do those actions. Now they can take your group that you're sharing and copy it, and now that group is theirs, but it will never change your group. But if I want to share it to other users, I'm going to go up here to my blue bar. I'm going to right click on the group I want to share. You'll see share here. I'm going to click share, and then you'll see a blank box over to the right. You'll see add and remove. You will not see everyone. Only the admin user has everyone. But I'm going to click the add. And here you'll notice there's 3 tabs at the top. So if you have your users in teams, I can select the whole team, and I'll add this one. And then from the users, I can go in and I can select users that I want to uh, share this with, say okay. And here's everything that I selected from my share and say okay. Now when they log in, they'll have access to this group. It's not going to show in their blue bar because this is configurable per user, which means that they can decide what shows in this blue bar so it's not so busy. They can hide groups that they don't use. But over here on the far right hand side of that top blue bar, you'll see the groups word. This is a groups manager. And what we're talking about is this center check mark. So anything that is checked will show up in my list. And they're going to need to go in. You'll have to tell them, hey, I released this group to you. Just go in and add it to your favorites. So it's going to show up like this to them with the blank. You'll notice all the favorites are at the top, so it'll show up down here in their list of not favorites. But they'll just need to go in and click the check mark, and then they'll be able to see the group visibly in their blue bar. And that is on every level. So anywhere you have groups, you will have a group manager, and that's where you can show and hide your groups. Okay, so there's also, so one of the things we like to control around the web client is speed, right? That's always a concern. So what they've done is a user cannot go in and add check marks to every group. There is a threshold that is an admin setting in the system that allows them to only have a certain number of groups that can be that number can be modified. Out of the box, it's 30 groups, and that's 30 groups per level. So 30 account groups, 30 contact groups, so on. So if they exceed that, they'll get a pop-up or a display right here to the right of the accounts in this blue area that'll say you've exceeded your 30, unfavorite some to get back down to your correct threshold. So it doesn't stop their system. It just lets them know, hey, you need to um, kind of calm it down a little bit and unfavorite some. So that is some of the items on, I'm running behind, the, I'm going to move quickly here. I'm going to go to back into my customers group because I want to show you some of the things you can do with uh, the conditions. So on address, I'm going to add some different states, and this is going to be a tri-state group. So for Ohio, it's Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana. That's considered our tri-state. So I'm going to go into the state, double click it, and Indiana is IN, right? And then I'm going to double click it again, and Kentucky is KY, of course. So now I'm saying, give me all the accounts for their customers, and they're in the state of Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky. Okay, that will give me results. But what I want to show you is a really cool trick in here, and I'm going to open up this Ohio one that I had, because this operator gives you some different options that you can utilize. So if I open this up, you'll see multiple options that I can use. Some of them don't pertain to states, but others do. A very important one is the in. What I'm doing is I'm creating a bucket of different options that I want it to search for. So instead of having 3 lines of conditions, I'm going to make it 1 line by using the in operator. So I'm going to go to my browse, and I want Indiana, Kentucky. I'm holding my control key down so I can grab multiples, and then Ohio. So this statement here, this one up here in the top, that is the same thing as having all 3, but it's cleaner. So now I can select these and delete them. That is a clean condition. Give me any account where they're in these 3 states, and then that's going to let us, give us those records. So another one that is very convenient is customers that we haven't touched in so many, well, customers that we haven't touched this year. So I'm going to show you, if I'm going to click up here in the top, account, and I'm going to go to a date field, which is going to be last history date. There's a date field here called last history date. This is a very handy field because this is the last time this account was touched. That's what this date is. It's a single field. And I'm going to use something called a literal. These are the really cool tools I was talking about at the beginning. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to leave it equal to. But what I'm going to do is down here at the bottom above the OK, there's a checkbox called use value as a literal. This opens up the options to have all kinds of date field listings that are preset in the system. No longer do I have to say create date before and after. You know, you have to create that range yourself. This will do it for you automatically. It's got next week, this week, quarters, years, months, days, day of the week. You can do all kinds of control here. What I'm looking for is this year. So now I'm saying where this account has been touched this year. Okay, so I'm going to say OK. But remember, I said this group is looking at this tri-state area where they haven't been touched. They haven't been touched this year. So they're getting cold, right? So we want to warm them up. So I want to bring your attention to this very first column over here on my conditions. That's a not column. If I check that not column, it says its account type is equal to customer. So they're a customer. They're in the state of Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio, and we have not touched them this year. That's what I'm looking for. So if I say OK here, I have 2 customers that we have not touched this year. So that is a way to get into the cold customers that we may need to see if they need to order, that type of thing. But that's how you can use the not columns, the in statement, and the literals. And literals are available, and we can provide the listing of literals against different types of fields. So the date field has the date related literals, of course, and currency would have currency type, and then there's user related fields also. So that's using some conditions on groups. So the next thing up I'm going to show you is some dashboards. So dashboards are looking at the data, the groups that we've just created, in a graphical format. So if I go to, let's go to Customers Ohio. So I've got a list of 24. A very quick way of creating a dashboard is you'll notice over here on the right hand side on my group, promote to dashboard. So this is called a list view. I can actually take this list view and promote it to my dashboard with one click. So I'm going to click this promote to dashboard, and it's going to ask me which dashboard do I want. And I'm going to put it on my Halloween dashboard and say okay. So it just tells me it was promoted to the Halloween dashboard. So now over here on the top left of my navigation side, I'm going to click on dashboard. And you'll notice the Halloween, there's multiple tabs here. So there's multiple dashboards. Each dashboard can be shared, just like we shared the group. So you can share it to different groups of people in your organization. So I'm going to click on Halloween. Here's that group I just promoted. You can control how many visible records there are. You can control the size of the widget, the location of the widget. So I can move this one down below. I also have the pie charts. So pie charts can show you, in this case, this is looking at states. So here's state division. But I can also, if you look down there at the bottom left of the widget, you'll see a view group. That will take me to that group. So I can see the data behind the dashboard. And then if I look down here, oh, I promoted that twice. I promoted this one again, but you can control, see how this one has more records to it, more shown records. If I go up to this one, see how this one doesn't have as many, it's smaller. So size affects your data stream that you have. Um, so this over here on the top right hand corner, there's a blue menu button. This is where I'm going to go in to add new widgets. So if I click on this widget, you'll see add widget, and I can do multiple types of widgets, bar, bubble. Um, the bar, the column, the line, they have goal lines that are involved in that also. There's a gauge. So a gauge is very nice for getting to, let me get to the sales. Yeah. So here's a gauge, right? So it's a goal line. It can be company wide, user, specific user, but it'll have a goal. So the gauge is the whole goal, right? So you can see how far you are to it. And you can place those widgets on any of the dashboards. Once you've placed your widget and you want to share that dashboard to other people, it's just like we did on the groups. So if I'm creating my groups, and then I'm creating my dashboards that lay on top of those groups. And that will, I have to share the groups so they see the data. You also have to share the dashboard so they can see the dashboard. So to share a dashboard, I'm going to go over here to my right side menu over here on the far right hand corner. I'm going to click it, and you'll see Share tab. So this is where I can go in. It looks a little bit different, but the concept is still the same. I'm going to hit the plus sign, and I'll do my drop down so I can save it to a department, a team, or individuals, right? And I can do multiples. And then I just hit the share button here, and I've shared Halloween out to Samantha. Um, so I'm going to show you in the within a widget itself, it always has what kind of, how I'm slicing the data, and where how I'm measuring it. So do I want it filtered by account manager? Do I want to do a count of accounts? Do I want to do total sales? But over here on the top right of each of the widgets, there's a settings button. This is where I'm going to say what type of work I want to do with my data. So this is the top section, is the shape of the widget, how long, how wide, how many records I want to show, the titles, right? Just settings. But down here at the bottom, you'll see data sources. You can have more than one data source. So like on opportunities, you can compare actual against potential dollars, that type of active against inactive accounts. There's all kinds of combinations you can do, but you'll notice a trash can and an edit button here down here at the bottom. So I'm going to click the edit button. This is how I'm slicing up my data. It's coming from, where's my group live? My group lives in the account section. What's the group name? Customers Ohio. How do I want to slice up my data? I want it filtered, or I want it in state buckets, right? And then in that bucket, what do I want the data to do? In this case, I'm doing count of accounts. But you'll notice I have multiple options that I can utilize. Each option changes for where the group lives, right? So I'm getting account level uh, dimensions. If I'm on opportunity, I'm going to have opportunity type. So it varies depending on where the group lives. Same with the metric. So the metric allows me to do different math. So metric is math, and I can run these however I want. In this case, we're going to do count of accounts. You can create additional dimensions and metrics. Basically, a dimension is the filter that you see in the groups on the right-hand side. So some of the filters may not be set or released to the dashboards. It's just a configuration. Contact us if you have questions on any of this that you want us to clarify how to work on the configuration to get these items. But you can create new dimensions, new metrics. So I'm just going to save the whole thing. But that is the dashboards and uh, very quickly, dashboards and widgets on the sales. I want to show you something real quick. This all opportunities widget has the 2 data sources. So I'm going to go over here to the top right and click my edit button, and you'll see down at my data sources at the bottom, actual potential. So they're both showing the data, 2 data sets in one widget. And one thing I can do with this is I can actually zoom in a certain area and pull that to the front and see data, because you have those outliers, right? You have the low ones and the high ones. Sometimes it's hard to see because the high one stretches out your widget. This allows you to zoom in on the smaller side and actually get a little bit more detail about what's going on. And then you can always return back to the full size with your toolbar up here at the top right. Okay. So that is the conclusion of my display on groups dashboards. Very quick. It's hard to put a lot into a short time because it can get quite busy when it comes to how you want to show your data, what kind of conditions you want. So it's very specific to your business, and you can do that with a CRM because it's completely versatile to all the fields, all the data in the environment. So I'm a little behind, but I'm going to switch over to Don and let him talk about the what's new in the new version 9.1.
Thanks. Thanks, Terry. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I told my team before the meeting that I wasn't going to dress up because frankly, I'm going as a middle-aged man with a broken back because I hurt my back not long ago, and I've got a heating pad on my back right now. So that's my costume, just so everybody knows. Let's see. So let me start by going through and really talking about what's new in version 9 and 9X. I'm going to share my screen, really the same version that Terry was showing, which is version 9.1. So let's see, let me get to my window here. I'm going to start by highlighting some of the new menu items we have here. One of the new ones in version, I think it was 9.0, is this new theme menu. So up in themes here, we can change the modes. This is I'm calling this my Halloween theme, right? I've got my orange and my dark, but I can pick different modes as well as different colors for the background in the CRM. I can choose a light mode, a dark mode, or a high contrast mode. Light mode is a white background. The dark mode is a dark background, which is very common these days, right? A lot of people choose a dark mode for their phone, conserves a battery on a mobile device. And then there's the high contrast mode. I mostly prefer the high contrast mode, and I'll show you what that looks like at an account screen. In the account main view, you can see it's really good at showing the boxes. One of the things that Infor did from a performance standpoint was they eliminated the lines around all of the fields. It was really to improve performance. So when you're looking at it in like a light mode, it's hard to see where those fields are unless you move your mouse over them. So personally, I like the high contrast mode. I think this is a good mode for viewing all of that data. One of the other menu items they added is this log menu up here. So in the past, if you wanted to, as a user, if you received a phone call, the only way to record that phone call dynamically, if you will, I receive a phone call, I want to record that, I would have to click the schedule menu, click on complete an activity, and then select create a new unscheduled activity, phone call, meeting, or to do, and click the continue button, and it would bring me to this dialog box. Well, the log menu really makes it a lot quicker and easier. I just click log, click phone call, takes me right there to that dialog box. Works the same way with meeting and to do, okay, and adding a note. So it's just a quicker access from using the schedule menu. So that's the log menu. We also have the compose menu. So one of the things that Infor has done recently is they had gotten to the point where they were able to migrate all of the mail merge functionality from the legacy code that they had used, which really was dependent upon Internet Explorer. I'm sure if anybody on the phone call on the webinar here has used mail merge, they understand that it was really dependent on using ActiveX controls in Internet Explorer. Well, they've taken that functionality for mail merge, they've taken it out of the client and moved it onto the server, so it runs on the server. So now mail merge is browser independent. So you can use mail merge with any browser that you're using in your organization or individually. So we now have a compose menu here, and this is where I can create new email templates. I can manage email templates. I can generate a mail merge or email a contact or a lead. I'll just show you the manage email templates because this should look familiar to those that are have used mail merge before. In the LAN client, this used to pop up as a dialog box. Here it's a full view, a full main view in the web client, and you have all the same options that you have in the old version of mail merge, but you get it in any browser. Wanted to also mention, let's see, executing the mail merge should look familiar. These are the mail merge options. I can select the different tabs here in this dialog box and set all those options when I'm executing a mail merge. So all new, and there's also, Infor has introduced a new Word add-in too. So that's a separate installation, and Terry, chime in here, but there's a file that you can install and it adds it into Word. So you can open Word, you don't even have to be in the CRM to create mail merge templates. It can all be done right within Microsoft Word.
That's correct.
Is that correct, Terry?
That's correct. Yeah, the Word add-in is used for letters or hard printing, where you can do all the emailing out of the web client now from the browser.
Right. All right, the other thing I wanted to mention today was the history menu. So just like we have the activity main view in the CRM, let's see, where is it over here? Activities. So Infor has always had the activity view, and this has evolved over time. It is more customizable. Used to be locked down, but now you can create your own groups, just like Terry was showing groups. But now they've added this history main view. So one of the benefits, well, there's a couple of benefits to the history main view, but one of the limitations previously, without having the history main view, it was really difficult to create dashboards of any type of history records. You had to either leverage, contact records or lead records, but now with the history main view, we have all the things we've come to expect from and rely on in every other entity. We've got the ability to make and create filters. We have the ability to create the groups and promote those groups to dashboards and create new dashboards from those groups. So the history main view is a great new feature in the system as well. Let's see, I want to head over here to accounts. I want to talk a little bit about group KPIs. So Terry's talked a lot about groups, and one of the things I want to show is these new KPIs that have been added to many of the entities. So These will be available with most of the key entities: contacts, leads, opportunities, quotes, and KPIs can be turned on and off individually. So each user has the ability with this new button here on the toolbar, manage KPIs, this little gear. I can click on this button. It will display all of the KPIs that are available to me. I can turn those on and off, click the save button, and it will display the KPIs that I have selected. It will show those KPIs on the groups that I'm reviewing. Switch to another group, and it'll display those KPIs. And again, this is specific to each user. I will mention that there is an out-of-the-box set of KPIs for each of the entities, but Infor does provide the ability to create custom KPIs that currently can't be done in the client. It needs to be done with the application architect, but you do have the ability to create custom KPIs. I'll just show you what it looks like under opportunities. Some entities have certainly more KPIs than others. So we can look at all of those that are available here for opportunity out of the box. There are quite a few. So group KPIs, those are pretty cool. I was going to talk a little bit about dashboards and the multi-data support. Terry already covered that previously. But the only comment I want to make, and I think for the most part, wrong dashboard. Let me go to the dashboards, not the welcome ones. Here under all opportunities, the one that Terry was showing, I just wanted to mention that we do have the ability here. You can add multiple. So typically there are 2, but you can add 3 or more. I don't think there's a limit, Terry, to the number of data sources you can add. Have you ever pushed that to the limit to see how many? I think maybe I think it's a limit of 10. Isn't that what Infor told us?
I think so. I haven't gotten to that limit because it kind of doesn't make sense for the data. So I've never seen a scenario where a threshold was hit for that.
Yeah, typically 2 or 3 are mostly what I would expect anybody would need in a single dashboard, a single widget on a dashboard. So let's see, I'm going to come over, and this is another really nice new feature they added. I'm going to go into an account, and it's the ability to email documents right out of the CRM. So all of the attachment tabs, so there are many, the way that the attachment tab is designed is it's a common tab across multiple entities. So if I go to an account, I have an attachments tab. If I go to a contact, opportunity, quote, sales order, they all have the attachments tab. Infor has added the ability now to be able to email document attachments. So it's common across the attachments tab, but also in the library. What I can do now, there's a new icon right here. It says send via email. I can click on an attachment, click on this button, one attachment or more, and it creates a new email file. It's over on my other screen here. Well, you probably can't see it because I'm only sharing my browser window. Let me share my screen. Get back to Teams here. Share my window. So here's what it does, is it creates a new mail message, it attaches the file, and then I have the ability to add my subject, select who I want to send it to, and add a body of the email. So, and then the last thing I want to mention as one of the major features is really the CRM workflow. So under integrations, and we've had several, as a partner, we've had several conversations with Infor about moving this functionality. Under integrations, this is where you can get to the CRM workflow. And the CRM workflow allows you to create exactly that, CRM workflow event, so it can be triggered based off some condition in the CRM. So examples might be, quote approval. You can create multi-step workflow as well as just notification workflow. So when an opportunity is won or an opportunity is lost, you can have it send an email to another person or persons in the organization, or outside the organization. You can also update data. So an example would be when an opportunity is closed won, you can have a condition that checks to see if the customer or if the account is currently a prospect and you close won an opportunity, you can change the account type from prospect to customer. So those are the types of things you can do with workflow. I'm not going to get into a full demonstration of workflow today because it's one of the topics we're going to plan for a future webinar. But I wanted to at least mention and talk about the workflow that's available today. So those are really just the highlights of some of the things that have been released in version 9.0 and 9.1, and really wanted to get back and open it up for questions and of course ask the group for feedback on future webinars. I mean, Simplesoft, we used to do a lot of these prior to COVID, and we've been very slow getting back into the swing of things and starting to conduct these types of webinars. So we're really interested in getting your feedback on what you'd like us to cover in future events. So you want to display that presentation, Sue, or Terry? So that's what we covered, what's new in version 9. So let's open up the floor. Does anybody have a question, or would they like us to explain something further?
Hey, Don, it's Todd.
Todd, how are you?
Can you show the KPIs again and how you created them, please?
Well, I didn't create any of these. These are all the out-of-the-box KPIs, okay? So let me share my screen again and just go back. As I mentioned, to create new custom KPIs, those have to be done in the application architect. Okay, that would be a good topic for a future webinar, and I can put that on the list if you're interested in that.
Definitely.
Okay. Custom KPIs. I will do that. That'll be a good topic. The other ones we thought would be dashboards in detail, CRM workflow, and mail merge. Those are going to be good ones for sure. Okay, Terry, you asked about the history main view, right?
Yeah, please. I actually had to step away briefly when you were going over that and came back. Can't find where you were showing that. Thank you, guys.
Sure. So that is located, let me share my screen again here. So it's located all the way at the bottom of the sales. In the sales.
Okay, and that might be it. It's not showing up in my list of views. Could that be, is it admin only? Is that why?
Well, actually, I think so Terry, SK&T upgraded to version 9 and history was released in 9.1. It came out in the middle of your project. So isn't that right, Terry? The history main view was released in 9.1.
You were asking Terry Hemme or Terry Unger to confirm that?
I was asking Terry Unger to confirm that. Sorry. You're on mute, Terry, because I can't hear you.
Oh, I was on mute. I'm so sorry. It was me. Yes, that's correct. 9.1 is where the history main view was released, and you don't want to rock the boat when you're doing an upgrade. We had already started it before it was released. So, but one of the things we can do now that you're on 9.0 is applying 9.1 is very minor. So you don't have to do all the retrofits and all that mess. So we can take a weekend and apply 9.1.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll let Molly know. She had to step away for a second, but I'll let her know that that's where it's at and what we would do next. So don't just wait. I'll wait to hear from her. But thanks, Terry.
Things that I really can't show in the presentation today, but I can talk about it, is upgrade, save, customization. So Terry Hemme, you bring up a good point. You know, now that you're on version 9, and actually it was introduced with version 8.5, really 8.501, is the concept of upgrade, save, customization. So Terry Unger's point is that it's very easy for us to upgrade you to the next version now, because we don't need to retrofit any of your customizations once you get on that 8.501 or higher level. So it'll be very easy to apply that and make that history main view available to you going forward.
Thank you, guys.
I just made a note of that too, so we can follow up with you on that point. Let's see, any other questions?
Anybody have any scenarios that you're thinking about in your environment and you're not sure how to put the conditions together? We can even get to that level of questions. Or anything related to what you may want us to dig into and show you next time. So this was a very high level. Some of the information you may have already known, but we are happy to get down into detail in the next webinar. So what kind of subject matter are you just curious about, but you're not sure how to start or dig into it? So that's the kind of in detail type of webinars we'll be happy to do. And feel free to email us if you have some ideas or questions. Just support at simplesoft.net, and we'll all be able to help you or add it to the potential webinars later on, in the future. So always willing to take suggestions.
Any other ideas for topics for those future webinars? That's really what I would like to get from at least some ideas from the group. Todd, we already wrote down custom KPIs, so I've got that.
Yep.
I know Eric and Michelle, you guys are going to be new to Infor CRM. I don't expect you'll have a whole lot of questions, but Heather Muro, I'm just going to pick on you because I know John does a lot of groups for you guys. Do you see some advantages of the groups and the KPIs in this version over your current version?
I do, yes. This was amazing. I'm going to have words with Nicole and see if this is something we can upgrade to.
You know, I've been trying to schedule a meeting with Nicole to go over, there's that automating that machine report for one thing, but also doing a full demo of 9.1. So I think it'd be very helpful to cover both of those topics. We've been trading emails, so hopefully we can get together on that this week.
Yeah, I'm going to send her a little recap of this seminar today, and so it'll be fresh in her mind. So definitely stay on her.
I'll do that. We did record this, and we will be sending that out so you can forward it to her and she can take a look at it as well.
Even better. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Very welcome. Anyone else? I guess no other feedback. Terry, you have any final comments?
No, but we're open to any questions somebody might have. Just feel free to send us a, hey, I'm trying to build this group and I can't find this field, or I don't know where this data lives, or how do I get to the data, conditions, any questions like that. We'll be glad to help you.
Yep, for sure.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time today. And again, Dan, you'll take care of sending this out, right, and getting it to everybody that was on the call, and of course sending it to everyone that didn't attend, so they have the information as well. But thank you, everyone.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
All right, everybody have a great Halloween.
Yeah.